Hello and welcome to the last of the Learning Technology Services tutorials on Excel tips and tricks. The items in this tutorial are those that I thought were interesting when managing large quantities of data. The first thing that I'd like to show you is to be able to send this file through email without actually opening Outlook. Under File, you have Save and Send. Now under Save and Send you can save as a PDF, you can do lots of different things in this area, but I'm looking at the top option, Send using email, Send as attachment. Now on this computer I have Outlook. When I clicked that selection, an email message opened up and now I could send it to any person that I wanted to. This avoids the problem of locating your Excel. Oftentimes when we have an Outlook message open, we have to then go attach file and find the file. My next option is formulas. Now there are lots of formulas, many that you won't have to know, but in this particular worksheet in column I we have everything in capital letters. I'm going to double click on the line between I and J so that you can see it more clearly. Let's say you'd want this to read in proper text where the R is capitalized and not the EAD and so forth. I'm going to first make a new column. I'm going to click on J, right click on my selected area and insert. And into this column I'm going to write the formula. The formula is equal. That's how you always start formulas. The function is proper. And what do I want to make proper? Well, I want to make the information in this cell proper. Press enter. This now has the beginning letter capitalized and the rest uncapitalized. Going to the handle in the bottom right corner of that cell, I can double click and it fills that formula all the way down. Another formula that I use quite frequently is concatenate. Say I want to have a column that reads English.100.001. That can be accomplished by concatenating those three cells. I'm going to click in H and right click to insert a new column, and into this cell I'm going to write the formula. However, this time I'm going to go up to formulas and look for concatenate under the text area, because then I get this nice little window that will walk me through making this formula. What's the first section of text that I want to concatenate? Well, it's English, so I'm going to click in there. Notice as I click in D2, it's beginning to build in this area. Well, I want it to be separated by a dot, and then I need the course number, dot in text box 4. So I want it to read English.100.001. Click OK. It looks good. I'm going to widen this by double clicking on that line, and then I can double click on the bottom right corner handle and it will fill down for the entire column. Looking at this particular cell, it is a formula. I don't want it to be a formula, I want it to be values so that I can take this information and move it anywhere in the spreadsheet that I want. If I click on H and right click and copy, I can paste right over this, but this time I want to paste as values. Under the Home tab, you have paste and then you have the arrow, more arrow right below it. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to paste just the values. To get rid of the running ants, I can press escape on my keyboard. English is no longer concatenate, it is the value. Let me just clue you into one more thing. I'm going to open up column G a little bit. This is a rather large, complicated formula. I needed to turn what was found in F to have zeros in front of it. I needed it to be 3 digits. Normally in this case I'm going to escape out of here so that I'm no longer in that cell. You could go under F, right click, format cells, and I could customize this so that it would be 3-digit, preceding letters to be 0. Look how this changes. This is what I want it to look like, but I've only formatted these cells. When I tried to concatenate column F, it went back to just a 1. How did I find out how to do this? I got some keywords from a coworker and I went out to Google and I keyworded this so that I found this particular formula, and then I filled in the columns and the cells that fit. I don't expect you to remember this or even understand it, but just know that if you have to accomplish a certain thing, others have run into the same problems, and we can always Google and try to find out the proper formula. Now, there are lots of ways of having math in Excel without using formulas. I'm going to scroll over to column P, which is the enrollment. If I click on P and come down to the bottom portion of my screen, I have some calculations already given. The average enrollment of all these classes is 10.6. I have 262 classes written. It says 263, but it's counting the heading. Here's my minimum and maximum, so the largest class has 39, and the total number of students enrolled is 2,798. Now, as soon as I click away from that range, it goes away. But if I again click on the whole column, I'll have my information back again. It's a nice way to work with math without formulas. The next tip on the list is the quick access toolbar. I might have icons that you don't see in yours. I like this one. It's making a new spreadsheet. If I click on it, it makes a new spreadsheet. If I click on this icon, it's open, so I can go out to my folders and open a new one. I added these icons by clicking on the Customize Quick Access Toolbar icon and going down to More Commands. I have popular commands. I can also get all the commands, but there are a lot of commands. If you go to the All Commands, go to Close, to where I find Close, Close All, or just Close One. If I click on the icon and add it, it will be added to my areas over here. I can move it up or down in my list. Some of the very common things that you do can be found in the commands, and there are a lot of things that you never have thought to do, but you can add them to your quick access toolbar so they're more readily accessible to you. In Excel 2007 and in Excel 2010, I've oftentimes seen this problem where you have your Excel but you wonder where your tabs are. It's because this particular workbook is not maximized. Notice I have a minimize, maximize, and close in this area, and then I also have those icons repeated up at the top. The top is for the application of Excel. These are for this particular workbook. If I maximize this, then I can see my entire screen is filled with this workbook, and I can see the tabs at the bottom. We covered freezing the top row, and once again, to do that, I can click in any cell and go under View, Freeze Panes, use the More arrow, and I can freeze top row. But let's say that you want to freeze not only the top row, but add a certain column. Now, I would say that column I is pretty important. You want to be able to see the class and the section and so forth. So I'm going to click in cell I2, which means that I want to freeze everything above it and everything to the left of it. Coming over to Freeze Panes, I choose Freeze Panes at the top icon, and I have a line, and above that's going to stay as I scroll down. And if I go to the right, the columns E through H will remain English 110, even if I'm over here in the meeting column. I'm going to unfreeze my panes right now because my next topic is merging cells. Oftentimes it's nice to be able to see one cell that highlights information in both columns. I can merge this information by clicking on both cells, going to the Home tab, or doing a right click. I can merge and center, and then my information is over both cells. Even though merging cells looks nice, It causes problems when you are mail merging. It causes problems when you're doing formulas or selecting columns and so forth. So I would suggest that you not get in the habit of merging cells. Rather, you can use, I'm going to unmerge this. Once again, by going up here and unmerging, I would rather you use the left and right alignment in your choices. Let's say in this particular cell, you want to have course on one line and title on the line right below it, but you still want to stay within the same cell. I've got my cursor right after the E of course. I'm going to press the Alt key down on my keyboard and press Enter one time, and I'm forcing a line break. If I do that, my cell height will automatically increase, and I can always come back and move it by putting my cursor between the 1 and 2, left click hold, and I can move it to become the height that I desire. Printing an Excel sheet causes many issues. First of all, suggestion here is to delete any columns that you don't need to print. In this case, I'm going to just delete A through G. I selected the columns and I'm going to delete them. I'm getting down to the information that I really need. When you are ready to print, go under View, Normal Page Layout. That shows you where the breaks have been. And then most importantly, you have Page Break Preview. I can change my margins by going under Page Layout and Margins. These are pretty large margins. I only need, let's say, 0.25. So I'm going to put 2.5 and increasing the space for my area that I want to print. I also can make it, rather than portrait, I can make it landscape. I'm under Page Layout, Orientation, Landscape. I'm in Page Layout and I still have 100%, but I want this all to appear on one page. So now I go under the View tab to Page Break Preview. I can move any dotted line. I'm going to left click hold, drag to the right, and now I force this to print on one page. But I've also reduced the view. Let's go back to Page Layout. Now I'm 69%. Now that's still very readable. It would be nice if we could get rid of some of these columns or squeeze some others up. So best to get rid of the columns that you don't need. I don't need P, so I can delete it, I could hide it, and this will help with your views. Notice it hasn't changed anything. I can up the view and go as far as I can before this becomes a second page. If you only want to print one page, I can select the range that I want to print, and I can go under Print Area and set that print area. Let's say that I definitely want my header row to appear on every page that I print. Under Print Title and on the Sheet tab, you have rows to repeat at the top. I'm going to click on row 1 and notice now my row 1 will appear at the top. This is also the area if you want grid lines to appear when you print, if you want your row columns and headings, the 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, you can click here. And I have a print preview which allows me to see my row at the top, and as I scroll down to the next page, it's there. Thank you so much for watching these tutorials. We can readily make more. If you have information that you would like to see in this format, please contact training@uwec.edu, and please look at the rest of the tutorials that we have online. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon.